guests here talking about business analysis and some content related to business analysis or that are interesting for business analysis practitioner. Today we have two guests coming from Europe, from Belgium, and one of them is not from Belgium, but he's a Belgian guy, Stefan Bossuet and Ines Van Langendonk. Was it almost?
You sound like a native.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Thank you very much for coming, both of you. I have a very important subject to discuss with you today. And the question I brought for you is, what are sustainability requirements? I would like to start with Ines. If you could give us a view of what sustainability is, what is encompassed in sustainability?
Yes, I think to be able to understand the sustainability requirements, it's very important to get a good view of this quite broad range of topics which are part of sustainability. And I think a good starting point is to think of how we will evolve to a different sort of collaboration and a different sort of economy in which we have a broader responsibility for the things we do. Today, as a business analyst, my responsibility is quite fragmented. You are part of a much bigger system, which you don't necessarily feel responsible for, or you don't have you don't have a say in it. I think the role of a business analyst will change. And so when we think of sustainability, there are a number of models that I like to use, and they're easy to find online. The problem is if you want to get into sustainability, it's not so easy to find the right information. I think one of them is Planetary Boundaries, which is a model created by the Stockholm Resilience Institute, easy to Google, where in fact they explain what the impact of our human activity and economy is on the natural systems that we depend on. And so you will see that goes from climate change, but of course also over chemicals that we release in nature, over a whole wide range of things. But when we look at the responsibility of a business analyst today, well, I have a digital background. I've always done business analysis in digital. And there you see that sustainability is about hardware and how long or short-lived it is today. Some servers that we use that do heavy calculations live only a few months and then they go to waste and we buy new ones because they're faster. What we require of hardware of end users, do we only build stuff for the latest phones or do we also support older models? But it's of course also about software. How much energy does our software use, both on the server side and on the front-end side? How much network are we using? We are evolving from a world of abundance where you didn't need to mind any limits about broadband. You have broadband and we have fabulous screens and they can, and fast smartphones, fast computers. And we've gotten used to using that abundance to make really, really beautiful applications and solutions. But we have to start evolving to a world of limits where we only use the necessary energy and not the possible energy. And so I talked about hardware, I talked about software, but there's a very important social aspect. And so that's where the donut economy comes in. The donut economy combines, on the one hand, these limits that our natural systems impose on us with the limits that people, humankind, is capable of. We have to evolve to a world where more people have a good life, have a safe life, have a healthy life. And then we see that in how we evolve towards a modern society. We rely a lot on digital, unfortunately, more and more people cannot play a role in that because they don't understand, because they don't have the right devices, because they don't have access, because they don't have good mobile phones or mobile connections. And that social part is, of course, much broader. People need to have access to health, to education, to clean water, to a good job, etc. And so, as said, an enormous wide range of challenges and opportunities ahead.
Very interesting, and it's interesting how you open our minds to see very far from the boundaries we are used to think about when we are dealing with change. We are working in a project or an initiative as business analysts. Usually when we work in an initiative as business analysts, we try to to create some clarity and to expose the needs as requirements. And
Yes.
when we expose those needs as requirements, there is a requirements classification for that, a structure that we use to do. And I would like to ask Stefan, how does sustainability fits into this model of requirements?
Hi, well, happy to explain that. Many know me as the holistic BA. So we had before, in 2006, the first BABOK was released, the 1.6, in fact, and they already had 4 categories, and that remained until last year. And last year, the BAStandard was released in November by IBA, where they introduced sustainable requirements. Well, it's the first time in 15 years that they launched, well, 16 in fact, they launched new category of requirements. So it must have been very important, and I believe it is. So, but to understand the holistic story about it, we have to go very briefly to the other categories, and Fabricio has made a really great video on that, on the requirement categories with the Christmas video. I can recommend anyone to watch that video. It's really great. For those who want to have more hands-on, I have done also a talk on the IBA's Knowledge Hub. For all the members, they can go to the IBA's Knowledge Hub, and I do a whole introduction on all those different requirements. But let's go briefly onto the different requirements.
I will put the links below this video if someone wants to watch it. But
and maybe also the Knowledge Hub.
And so after that, you can click on the links.
Yeah. And also the Knowledge Hub. For those who are members, they can go directly, and it even has infograph, but without the sustainability requirements. Sorry, so it's 2 years old already, and one of the first videos on the Knowledge Hub. Anyway, so you have first the business requirements. The business requirements, that's a translation to requirements of the business needs, and in fact explain why a change initiative is going to get organized. It's the why. That's the key word. And then you have the stakeholder requirements, which is a translation of these business requirements to the different stakeholders, which sometimes can be conflicting, and then you have to find compromises. And it's the what. What do the stakeholders need? It's translation of their needs towards a change initiative. Then you have the solution requirements. The requirements category most of us are very familiar with. It's describing the solution, and it's how we are going to make sure that the needs of the stakeholders are met. Then you have transition requirements. You go from A to B. How you make sure you go from the as is to the to be, and that's transition requirements. That's very straightforward. And then well, the keyword there is change. And then you have the sustainability requirements, where I have 2 keywords. So first we have why, what, how, and for sustainability requirements, I got 2 keywords, which is well-being not only of people, but also for the whole planet, all those species, biodiversity, and inclusive. So don't leave anyone behind. So no inequality, so a better equality, digital inclusion or not digital inclusion. So leave no one behind, like in the donut economy, which is very well presented. And it's a good example. I can recommend anyone have a look at the donut economy. The graphics are very self-explaining. And it's indeed the sustainability requirements. It's a translation of the sustainability strategy of an organization towards a change initiative. And that can reflect again in business requirements that are linked to the sustainable requirements, stakeholder requirements, and solution requirements. So it's a very holistic thing, which will become much clearer in a future thing that we will talk later on with Ines. And I will also make out a paper on the holistic part, which is maybe not that easy to explain in the talk with the Brazilian BA, but hey, to be continued.
Yeah, we can do other talks and we can go deeper on that on those explanations. But I know that a good opportunity for people who wants to know more about that is coming on next month at the BA&Beyond conference in Belgium, Leuven, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What will people see and how they can engage with you in this conference?
Ines.
You're on mute, Ines.
You have to put on the microphone.
Not very smart of me. We will be having a coffee corner conversation. That means that Stefan and me will host, hopefully, an interesting group of people where we will not just be talking and you listen. No, the plan is for a lot of interaction. There's plenty of space for questions and to discuss things in the group. And so that's what we will be doing in the Leuven event of BA&Beyond.
That's great. That's great. And I will put a link here for those who wants to engage and subscribe to this conference. And do you remember the day, Stefan?
It's the 22nd. Well, the conference is the whole week from the 22nd to the 26th or 7th of May. It's in 1 month. Today, it's in 1 month that we will have our BA&Beyond, on which 2 days in the Monday and the Tuesday, which is 22nd and 23rd in Belgium, Leuven. And then we have the Thursday and the Friday, which is the 25th and 26th in Holland, in the Netherlands. I think it's I can't say where it is because I will only attend to the Belgian part, and it's very interesting. A little disappointing thing is like the coffee corners will not be hybrid. So if people will attend, they have to be there in person. But hey, it's great, very hospitable, a lot of people, nice people. Fabrizio, we've met each other for the first time in person last year, and it was great, wasn't it? We had a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, a lot of nice, engaging people.
Yes, but for those who can only attend online, who are interested to find out more about this topic, please, they can always reach out to Stefan or myself, and we'll be happy to send more information, interesting links, and get them going.
That's lovely. May I put your LinkedIn connections here below this video as well, so people can connect with you and change messages? Oh, that would be lovely.
Yeah, and always feel free to connect on LinkedIn. Just make a little note like, hey, I've seen you at the Brazilian BA, so that we know who is connecting. Always like that little note.
Nice, very nice. Thank you very much, Stefan and Ines, for coming. It was a real pleasure to have you here and an honor to talk about sustainability.
Thanks for having us at the Brazilian BA.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Bye-bye.